The remains of a National Guard soldier and Utah mayor from here in Arizona arrived back on U.S. soil last night.
Brent Taylor, just 39 years old, was killed in Afghanistan over the weekend. Taylor was a major in the Utah National Guard and was killed during an insider attack in Kabul on Saturday. He was the mayor of a town called North Ogden, a husband, a father to 7 young children.
His widow showing incredible strength as she spoke about her husband and what it meant to him to be an American.
Brent may have died on Afghan soil, but he died for the success of freedom and democracy in both of our countries. The price of freedom surely feels incredibly high to all those of us who know and love our individual soldier. But the value of freedom is immeasurable to all who know and love America and all that she represents.
Funeral plans have not yet been announced.
And our thoughts go out to, I know he has